Well, hello, all of you beautiful people out there. Welcome. We're back in the weather office. And this morning, I mean, it may be 9 o'clock, but I kind of got back in those vibes this morning, back when we used to do morning coffee with Brad, like almost back to where I was like, I can almost get back into that a little bit. It's kind of a nice little feeling there. We used to do that together and kind of enjoyed that. Um, Yeah, good times. Very good times. So thanks all for being here. So we're here to talk about a couple of things today. We got 2 days of potential severe weather coming into our area. One obviously going to be worse than the other. We've been talking a lot about Wednesday. We're not going to discount anything that's going to happen tonight either. So before I start off, anybody have any questions, go ahead and throw those into the comment section. I am an open book as much as I can be. So if you have any questions, sometimes I have a really bad habit of talking too fast. And sometimes I have the really bad habit of saying things that I have the feeling people understand that they may not. So if we get into that situation, just kind of smack me down a little bit and say, Brad, so first thing before we jump into the maps and a little bit of the weather and what we're going to expect over the next couple days, I do want to mention one thing that I encourage all my friends to do and my wife to do. So the Huntington County EMA, they have this awesome alert system. It's called EMA Alerts. So I don't know if I can even do this. I'm going to try something real quick. Bear with me. I'm going to create a banner real quick. So we're going to text. And I'm going to leave this scrolling across the top. So if you text EMA alerts to 226-787, that's going to get you in the Huntington County alerts. For example, if we have a severe thunderstorm warning or something's coming this way, you're going to get that alert through your cell phone. So if you're not in a way to where you can say, hey, I'm watching Brad's live stream, at least you're going to have that capability to be alerted. That's the most important thing. So, we don't want any unfortunate scares and say, hey, we had no idea that a storm was coming or anything like that. I mean, a lot of us can hear it coming, but sometimes we can get caught off guard with sometimes the severity of it. So don't get caught off guard. Text EMA alerts to 226-787. That way you can be in it to win it. All right, so hopefully everybody's having a great day today. I'm going to leave that ticker up along the top there. And if it doesn't work, let me know. I'll get a hold of EMA and figure out what I did wrong. But that's what I did on my phone a long time ago. I had to scroll through and look it up. But if you don't have it, it's a good thing to have, especially in the county, and especially with the weather we have coming up. So a lot of you lived through the weather back on the 11th, and I assume it wasn't very fun for a lot of you. I was driving through New Mexico at that time, and it wasn't very fun for me because I had to watch it happen, and I wasn't here to really support you guys. And sometimes that's a big gut check. So I wasn't able to do a weather briefing like this going into those storms because I had a fire evacuation in California. So we're here, shouldn't have that problem. Now let's get into the weather briefing. All right, so we're going to talk about Tuesday first. So Tuesday first, going to focus on that, right? We're going to pop this up right here. So this is our current Tuesday outlook. What does that mean for us? We're up there. Get my cursor going here. We're up here right around that Fort Wayne, Indiana area, just to the southwest, actually. I couldn't get Huntington to pop up on there, but that's fine, right? So looking at that, somebody's going to town over there. So looking at that, that's a marginal. You see it down here over in the corner, level 1 out of 5. So marginal's low. It's a little worse than thunderstorms. And a lot of people are going, So don't worry about it, right? So let's look at the different categories. So we got to look at tornado, we got to look at wind, and we got to look at hail, right? Those are the threats that are associated with these thunderstorms. Lightning's always a concern. So we got to pay attention to that. So the hail category, yet again, we're just southwest of Fort Wayne. We are in the 5%, which is the lower category for hail. So does that mean that everybody's going to see hail? No. Does it mean it is possible? Yes. And we'll get into a little bit more on the why here coming up shortly. Wind, you see that circle got a little bit bigger. Is it possible for this line to be a little bit more of a wind bag and give us some severe damaging wind? The possibility is there tonight as well. And I keep saying tonight, but we'll get into that a little bit more specifically. They did it right in the midst of me talking about it. Everybody said it wasn't going to happen. And I'm sorry, but I kept saying that today was going to upgrade to a slight risk. And you're here to witness it with me. We got upgraded to a slight risk today for severe weather. And I don't mean to be excited. I shouldn't be excited about that. But I've been saying it since late last night. And I was told, no, it's probably not going to happen. And we'll get into that a little bit more about what that's going to look like for Wednesday. But I love when I'm right. It's like a pat on the back. So what does that do for our tornado risk? As expected, that bumped it up from 2% to 5%. Okay. So that increases the tornado threat. This is what I've been looking at in the weather models. Everybody said that this was nothing for me to worry about. To me, this is a celebratory moment because as I was going through and studying the weather models, this led to a serious point that I said, I think this is a little undercut from the National Weather Service. I think we need to take a deeper look into this. So I did that with my team a little bit last night. And I said, we're going to be out chasing tonight. I feel it. So we're going to have to keep an eye out there. The wind changed. So the wind's going to be a little bit more severe, right? So that puts us in that 15%. There's no really hash marks. It's just a greater percentage probability that it's going to happen. And the hail percentage also went up. So here we were in the midst of talking about it. I really wasn't going to say that the probability was going to go up, but I had that feeling. So I don't mean to toot my own horn there, guys, but I had it. So anyway, all right. So what does that mean for us? Let's go over to our trusty HRRR model. This is the model that I use the most when I'm forecasting. There's about 23 different models out there that I do scan and check for accuracy and what I'm really looking for as far as what I'm going to call probably closest to home. So as we go throughout the day here today, we're going to come in, and this is showing one line. And generally around this time, this is around the 2 o'clock time frame. Just before that, we're probably going to see a little bit of a few rain showers maybe pop up in front of this long linear line that you're seeing there. And then these are going to start to pop through. It looks like, okay, so that is the first line. I'm sorry. So that is 4 o'clock right there. We start getting some of those showers and storms coming through. These are the sub-severe storms. Not really worried about it. You can see the photographs there. Nothing really too concerned about. We're going to keep an eye on the radar just in case. But this first line that's going to come through about when you're getting off work this afternoon isn't really too concerning for me. So then we kind of scoot forward here. And this is around the 7 p.m. time frame. We'll get there, Jamie. I promise. I promise. So you can see this long linear line starting to set up here through Miami County, Wabash County, and into those areas. And this is where, when I was looking at this, I started really getting concerned because we can kind of click into these soundings a little bit. And I was starting to see these clues, got out of it, of possibility. And I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but the possibility. I just got to find it and stop messing with myself here. I'm working on old data right now as well, so I kind of apologize because it's also trying to update. We'll just use this one. So we have marginal, severe, classic supercell. We got a starting to curve slinky. So it's in between those times where we were starting to see a marginal tornado risk. And this, you can see it's above a non-tornado. EF0 is possible. So that's where we start getting into that tornado risk. I'm not going to get super detailed into that any further. But like I said, we're looking around the 7 o'clock time frame for those to roll through. They're going to roll through quickly. These storms are going to be moving between 45 and 55 miles an hour. So they're going to be booking pretty quick. And this is all thankful to a low pressure system that's going to move through western central Wisconsin up here into Lake Michigan. So as these things kind of develop and move across, we're going to be having to watch that very closely. So we're pretty well centrally located on the east side of that slight risk now, and we will pay more attention to that as time moves forward. So that is today and tonight. So as you're getting off work, expect some showers, and then later tonight when the kids are going to bed, that's where we're going to expect these thunderstorms to go in. We will be out in the field. I've already talked to my chasers. We got a plan set up. We're ready to go. And so give us a like, follow, and share. Make sure you're there, or be square. So now the day of the hour. All right, guys. So this has not updated yet. But I want you to look at this little red blotch right here. I have the feeling, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to put it on the record. I talked about this last night as well. I have the feeling they're going to shift that a little bit further to the east as well. That moderate risk, that 4 out of 5, that's going to shift a little farther to the east as well. I can get into that a little bit if you'd like. I apologize if I'm starting to talk a little fast. I don't want to lose you guys. I don't want to keep you here too long. But let's get into the threats, shall we? Tornado. You can see how that's a higher elevated risk. So we get down over here. We got Fort Wayne. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know if you can see the edge of my mouse, but there's Fort Wayne. So that puts us right here, right on the edge of that level 2 intensity area. So now we're looking at EF2 plus, EF3 plus tornadoes as a very high probability in that area. We'll get into that a little bit more when we look at the weather models and why I think that's going to shift. So we'll get into that a little bit more. Wind. This is going to be a wind bag. What's causing this to be a wind bag? These storms are going to be moving 55 to 65 miles per hour. So, you know, typically when you see us out chasing, we're driving around, going like crazy. We're going like mad. This storm system, I'm going to encourage our storm chasers to pick a place with an easy exit plan to find shelter because we can't help you if we're not here. So we have to come up with a plan to protect ourselves and to be able to get out and about and out of the way if something bad is coming our direction. So this chase is going to be an all hands on deck on Wednesday, as far as I can tell. And God forbid if something bad does happen, we're going to be out there to help with reporting damage and damage control where we can. Our primary response will be to help emergency vehicles get to where they need to go with debris removal and things like that. That's going to be our primary focus in reporting damage. And we've already been working with EMA to come up with a better plan for that. We'll be sharing one of our radios with them as well, so they can hear our communication and what we're seeing directly instead of waiting for the lag through social media, because sometimes it has a little bit of a 2 to 5 minute lag. And then we look at the hail. So we are in a level 1 intensity of hail with a 15% chance, and so the hail is a probability there as well. So let's dig in, shall we? So like today, we're going to jump into 2 rounds of rain. So we get our first little blast here. So this is going to be 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, sorry. 2 o'clock, not severe. We have a straight slinky, not severe. We're going to have a low cloud profile. Dadgummit. Where were we? We're looking at a low cloud profile to start. We could, and I'm going to say this as kindly as possible, but I'm going to say, oh, I bet. Yeah, I was, as soon as I saw the debris ball, I was like, oh no. Because I was so focused. I was out in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know if I was going to be able to go live or not. But looking at that, there is a possibility for the first round of weather between 2 and 3 o'clock. It's going to be a little bit of a soaking rain, but it is a little bit of possibility for some possibility for some heavy wind, maybe some small hail in those storms. And then the party doesn't really start until you see that linear line form getting pushed in a east southeast direction. And I just maxed out my map. Anywho, but we look in this, and this is where we see the words we don't like to see: PDS tornado, EF4 plus. Okay. And guys, these are going to move right across that area. And it is across the entire map. And the significance of that, and just for kicks and giggles here, let's say we look at the significant tornado parameter. We can see this whole line right here has an extreme significance to produce large damaging tornadoes. So at first, when I saw this a few days ago, I had the hankering to say, this one might be a little overblown. And all the data is there. So for this to be a pretty serious event. One thing that I will share that I don't like about it is these 70 dew points that are pushing from the south. Jessica, we are actually talking, it is not an issued PDS. That was in a sounding. That is a possibility. So what we're talking about right now is for tomorrow. I will go back and talk a little bit about today as well once we're done with this. Our dew points are not as impressive today. So that may hold us a little bit back from development this afternoon, which God knows we could use the break and not chase today. But that setup right there is a classic issue for tomorrow. Like I mentioned, this is for tomorrow. It's just not pretty. So let's see if we got the latest and greatest. So we're still loading on that for the latest and greatest to really get into tomorrow. So we will go back into today a little bit. I think I can reach it. So like I said, we get through our first round there, and then about 7 o'clock. So it kind of changed a little bit. You see, we got that little group of rain down there around Muncie, Richmond area. And it's kind of a little bit of a broken line, but those issues still exist. So marginal severe. So that's a little bit new. We got a curving slinky. Still a lower cloud pattern that I'd like to see for something that I would call severe, but it's non-zero for tornado. So that is a possibility. So definitely some things we're going to keep an eye on tonight. So that's definitely non-zero as well. So marginal severe. Hail's a possibility, it looks like. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that as well with the updraft. So that all being said, guys, so tonight we're looking at rain around 2 o'clock, and then after 7 o'clock tonight. And then tomorrow we're looking really about the same time frame, about 2 o'clock, and then about 8 or 9 o'clock tomorrow for the main event. And I say that like it's going to be a happy time, and I'm not trying to do that because I'm going to have a team of 5 people out in the field tomorrow, and that really has that has me concerned. So for me to say that I'm concerned to chase takes a lot. So this is kind of a scary situation, and I was talking to Don this morning, and one bad thing that happens with these outlooks when they announce them so far out is we start getting what's called chaser convergence. And a lot of people have talked about it before, and that's the only thing that really actually makes me nervous is you get all these storm chasers from Kansas and Missouri and Oklahoma and Nebraska and Tennessee and Florida. And they all try to fit in Indiana. And what happens is you get this long 3-mile long conga line of everybody trying to watch this storm. And then people like me trying to just help out our community, we get stuck in it. And then if a tornado drops, I got nowhere to go. So thank God I'm in a 4-wheel drive truck because I'm not afraid to move a person. So Said that out loud, but that will happen. I will move somebody before I die. So, does anybody have any further questions on the storms tomorrow? And I'm going to share something. So, kind of got hammered for sharing the National Weather Service maps. And I'm not going to say by who or what or when or where. These maps, I like them. They're gold. I'm not really the creative type, right? So, but hear me out. I spent a little time and I said, hey, I could make maps too, right? What do you think? Should we do something like that? Or should we stick to more just sharing their guidance and then continue to build my forecast the way I do? I like doing it that way. So I will post a more detailed actual explanation on what everything looks like for tomorrow, and we will go from there. What area of the county do you see as the largest threat? What area of the county? Kate, yes, the entire county. I hate to say that, but I don't have a way to really draw on this. But let's just imagine here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Sorry if this hurts anybody's eyes. It can get kind of demanding. So if you kind of look at that, I'm so sorry. So if you kind of look at the shape, where did I go? So if you look at you look at the shape of that, I'll call it a rock. It looks like a stone pebble, right? Peoria, Springfield, pointing towards Fort Wayne. We're like right in the middle of that whole thing, right? So everything's just kind of pointing right towards us. We'd be right in the middle of that. If they do extend it towards the east more, we're already in 3 of 5. I would say that's usually where I start to get excited for chasing. If we get into 4 or 5, that's where I start to get a little iffy about chasing. So, but that's pointing right at us. So it kind of depends on how it develops as it gets later. If it continues to move at the rate and speed on the way here, as I see it happening, I see them moving that moderate risk further to the east. Brad, with you being a realist, what advice would you give our listeners regarding tomorrow? I'm going to say this for tonight and tomorrow. Have a way to receive alerts. We put the EMA alerts up at the top. I'm sure Thomas Fuller is going to love that. But put the EMA alerts at the top. Use it. I'm serious. You'll get the alerts before you hear it from me. There is a delay in social media, and it's unfortunate. I try to be on here as quickly as possible. Sometimes we get on at the same time. If you have a weather radio, make sure you replace the batteries and flashlights. It's not a snowstorm, but if you need a way to cook food or something like that, make sure you have a way to. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned about Wednesday, and I rarely actually say that. You can ask Joseph about that. He calls me the negative Nancy, because I'm typically the one to back down and say, I don't think it's going to really be that bad. And he's like, here we go. Everything's not looking good for Wednesday. So, I would probably also come up with a plan. If my family was here, we would have a plan. Where are you going to go? Bathroom, closet. Where's your safe place? Make sure your family knows. And, if something happens to your house, have a meeting place set up. Well, I'm not scared, but this is the worst I've seen in years as well. Well, if you're going to be down tomorrow, get a hold of me, Doug. Water, blankets, flashlights, candles, etc. Just in your mind, I want you to just think worst case scenario and prepare for that, just in case. So, and looking back to the 11th, I made a post saying I went back and looked at the data, and we could have been a lot worse off. We had 3 tornadoes, and you're like, Brad, how could we be worse? Well, I can tell you that the upper vortice of the tornado was spinning a lot faster than what it hit the ground at. And if it would have really, spun up and dug in, 5 miles is a pretty long tornado, but if it was a long-lived, fully energized tornado, instead of like a half-mile wide, we're looking, a mile-wide tornado, extreme destruction instead of trees and a couple trailers or something like that. It could have been a much different situation. The discussions have been EF3 plus on a lot of these situations. So, like I said, today we're at a slight risk. That was an update as we logged in. I don't see them updating it past that, so keep that in mind. Saw that coming, so I'm glad that happened. And then tomorrow, like I said, I do expect them to extend that a little further eastward. And then Doug's going to come down and join the conga line. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, I'll hang out here for a minute. Let them fly. I'm here to answer them for you. But all threats are on the table. That's a long time ago, my friend. That is a long time ago. As long as it doesn't get hit, Mike. Tomorrow, we're looking in the evening, probably 7:30, 8 o'clock and later, I would say. Yes, I did mention that. It is sneaky. Courthouse has a tornado shelter sign. Can people in need go there? Yes, as far as I know. So like Doug mentioned there, sneaky tornado day today. So they just updated that in there. So keep that in mind. They did update everything for today. So it wasn't just the moderate risk. Overall, they updated the tornado, wind, and hail threat. So, all right. If anything else changes, I will come back on later this evening and discuss that or make a post for it. If we do get severe weather, we're going to be out chasing it tonight. So keep that in mind, and we will see you then. All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks.